MSNBC's Chris Matthews speculates Democrats may be better off with Trump as president than Sanders. Hello and welcome to TST. If you are new to the channel, tap on the subscription button and press the notification bell so you can receive news and updates that you can rely on daily. MSNBC host Chris Matthews wondered if the Democratic Party would be better off if President Trump wins re-election rather than Senator Bernie Sanders takes over the White House. Matthews brought up the possibility that centrist Democrats may prefer Trump over the socialist Sanders during the network's Saturday afternoon coverage of the Nevada caucuses. The host of Hardball with Chris Matthews was leading a conversation about how centrist candidates were splitting the vote, likely a detriment to one another but a benefit for Sanders. "I'm wondering whether the Democrat moderates want Bernie Sanders to be president," he said. "That's maybe too exciting a question to raise. They don't like Trump at all. Do they want Bernie Sanders to take over the Democratic Party in perpetuity? I mean, he takes it over. He sets the direction of the future of the party. Maybe they'd rather wait 4 years and put in a Democrat that they like." I mean, that's the big question, right? Adrian Elrod, a former senior advisor to Hillary Clinton, responded. And you know the narrative that you're starting to see play out, Chris, is that there are people that are concerned, strategists that are concerned that Bernie Sanders being at the top of the ticket will force us to lose the House. I don't necessarily think that's the case. Take a watch.
He's at 37 and the others at 23. Does he get the nomination because of that?
I think Harry Reid on your show yesterday made it very clear, and I think he was right that there could be a very plausible case for the moderates to coalesce around one candidate and take it to the convention. But again, Chris, we've got to keep in mind, these guys have got to get 15%. And right now, California, for example, you've got Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are the only two that are clearing 15%. If that is the case, and that means that Bernie Sanders could come out of Super Tuesday with a disproportionate number of delegates than what he should be getting based on the vote percentage he's getting right now.
Is there somebody not running that should be running? I mean, I get the feeling that this race lacks somebody, and I don't know whether it's Sherrod Brown or who's not running. That's Andrew Cuomo. I don't know.
I mean, you got to remember, though, these voters wanted less candidates running, not more candidates running. And these are the candidates.
I'm talking about contenders.
but voters.
I'm sorry, back to you. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, I know so many people that just don't have a candidate.
Well, look, I think that there is still a sense that people are just feel confused, that they just want to get some answers out of who is best positioned. Because, again, this question of electability is still driving at the heart of all of this, of like, who is actually going to be able to beat Trump? And because there's just so many answers to that question, that's part of why there's sort of this searching feeling of like, okay, who else might even be out there? But I don't think that at this point that we can expect that these voters are going to search for another person coming out of left field.
I'm wondering whether the Democratic moderates want Bernie Sanders to be president. I mean, that's maybe too exciting a question to raise. They don't like Trump at all. Do they want Bernie Sanders to take over the Democratic Party in perpetuity?
Well,
I mean, he takes it over. He sets the direction for the future of the party. Maybe they'd rather wait 4 years and put in a Democrat that they like.
I mean, that's the big question, right? And, you know, what the narrative that you're starting to see play out, Chris, is that there are people that are concerned, strategists that are concerned, that Bernie Sanders being the top of the ticket will force us to lose the House. I don't necessarily think that's the case. It's
How about
early.
Losing the future?
It's early.
Yeah.
But that's why I think that there is a potentially plausible argument, to Gabe's point, depending on how many delegates the moderates can amass.
Right.
If you've got 4 moderates that have amassed significantly more delegates than Bernie Sanders, you know, midway through this fight, then.
Well, here's the question. If the 4 delegates, if the 4 moderates, we call them all moderates because they're not Bernie, but the fact is that we're talking about Amy, we're talking about Senator Buttigieg, we're talking about Biden, we might be talking about Bloomberg as well. Okay, those 4. If they can't agree now on which one of them is going to be the nominee, they're going to somehow agree at the second bout of the convention?
Well, I mean, the big fear that everyone obviously has, if we're really going to play this forward and look at multiple rounds of voting at the convention, is that the party's going to be torn apart. And you tell me that the party's not going to be torn apart if Bernie Sanders enters the convention with a plurality and then doesn't end up with the actual nomination.
And if
that's
super delegates decide this. That's
okay, is that a lose-lose? Is that a lose-lose?
Probably, but that's one of the reasons that no one is
Matthews has frequently disparaged the Vermont senator in recent days, accusing Sanders of being full of it and arguing that he'd be a miserable president if he got elected. He has also predicted that Sanders would lose 49 states if he went up against Trump in the general election. The network has also warned his viewers about candidates who support socialism. You know, I have my own views of the word socialist, Matthews said earlier this month. They go back to the early 1950s. I have an attitude about them. I remember the Cold War. I have an attitude towards Castro. I believe if Castro and the Reds had won the Cold War, there would have been executions in Central Park. And I might have been one of the ones getting executed, and certain other people would be there cheering, okay? So I have a problem with people who took the other side. Sanders reportedly berated MSNBC executives earlier this week for what he perceived to be unfair treatment from the network. So, as long as Democrats mind their own jobs and do what they've been appointed to do instead of wasting time and money on sham impeachments and witch hunts, of course, they're better off with Trump being president. Not just them. Everyone's better off with Trump being president. Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. And haven't you checked out the official TST store yet? It has a variety of Patriot-themed custom t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, phone cases, and lots more. Make sure to take a look and maybe help us out picking some products for yourself and your loved ones at great prices. It does make a huge difference to what we're doing here. Link in the description below. If you've liked this report, let us know by tapping that like button down below, share the news among friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more news and updates on TST. This is David Ravine, and I'll catch you in the next one.